there is a chat at the bottom of the screen, everybody should see. If you click on the chat, I think that will work for public comment.
Okay.
Mute that individual.
Okay, the normal rules for the public comment would be the public wishing to speak to the Board of Education will be allowed this period of time to do so under the following guidelines. Speakers will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes and the entire public comment session to a maximum of 30 minutes, which may be waived by a majority vote of the board. Speakers are requested to, in this case, state their name, address, and topic. There is no sign-in sheet. The speakers will not be permitted to personally attack any board members, administrator, or any of the public present. Also, no comments by the speakers will be permitted that deal with executive session subjects, for example, individual personnel matters, discipline issues pertaining to specific individuals, including students, and speakers will not be allowed to read letters.
Okay.
Okay, Comfort Mallory has a question. I'm going to unmute Comfort. I've got 8 pages to go through, so when I find you, I'm going to unmute you. But there you are.
Do we have any kind of guidelines for what's going to happen should it come down to, okay, the state says we're done for the year, especially with kids like finishing up one school building going to the next. So 5th graders, our 8th graders, our seniors, do we have any kind of guidelines yet as to what will happen to promote them or demote them back to that grade to finish?
The simple answer, Comfort, is no. At this point, no, we're not looking out that far. There's nothing coming down from BOCES or New York Department of Education that would address that at this point. Right now, they think we're going to come back to school. That's what's on the table. And I meet with my admin team twice a day via Zoom, just like this, and we discuss that, and they've asked me the same questions. But at this point, right now, as of today, no one is discussing that at any level.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Just there's a chat at the bottom of the screen. Just click on the chat. It'll come up and I can unmute you. Comfort, I'm going to mute you back up. Okay, Amy, I don't think anyone else wants to speak.
Okay, very good.
Can I suggest that maybe we open this up again before we go into executive, because people might be having technical issues just figuring it out?
Absolutely. I'm okay with that.
That's fine.
Sure.
And I'll keep an eye on it.
Okay. All right. 2.1, Superintendent's report.
I've got 2 computers. I'm using a mouse on the wrong one. All right. I just want to talk about the budget, and this is mostly executive session material because personnel and actual positions are going to be mentioned, but I do want to put it out to the public section. Right now, we're still expected to do the budget for this year. Excuse me. Nothing there has changed, like I just said, to Comfort. Excuse me. Sorry. It's still all systems go ahead. Right now, we're staring down a $1.1 million deficit. And if the governor comes in with a budget sooner than later that he wants to do, that 1.1 is definitely going to increase. So to make the board aware, and I want to make the public aware that we got to look at that 1.1 million deficit. We're going to discuss cuts, and we're going to have to do that in executive session. And you're probably looking at somewhere between 13 to 17 staff cuts. Excuse me. That's all I had. Unless I have questions from the school board.
All right, 2.2, President's report. The first thing I wanted to discuss was group practice. I had a parent reach out with concern about groups still participating in practices, even though it was not with a coach. And my concern is, even though we did open the campus to area kids, are we setting ourselves up for any sort of liability with these groups gathering? in large numbers.
Amy, I don't even know how you police it.
Do
I
we
don't
still have
know.
security on campus?
We can't lend 24. We do have KST is still working for us, and they're still full-time employees. But what guidelines would the board set to do that?
I don't think we should. This is kids playing. I mean, again, I've been at the school, other people have been at the school. This is groups of kids playing. The governor has lifted the admission on state parks. He's telling people to go outside. Yes, they're in groups, but they're outside. They're doing what kids do. We've taken everything away from them.
Right. I think what we need to do is just
the campus.
encourage these kids to, I said, I think all they need to do is encourage these kids just to practice social distancing. If they go down to the field and there's, a big group, maybe they should talk amongst themselves and split up and come back at a later time, half the group. But I don't think we can just say you can't do this. I mean, again, you're right, Spiros. It's just really kids just getting together and trying to do something. And we hope that parents educate them that don't make it a huge group and make sure you practice everything that's being, told on the media.
That's not me.
Yeah, me.
Hey, I know the group you're talking about. What it was a large group of lacrosse kids. There were some modified, some JV, some varsity kids, and actually some graduated kids down there. I walked down, I talked to one of the kids. I said, is this a group practice? They said no. I said, is it a captain's practice? They said no. I said, did the coaches tell you to come practice? And they said no. And I'm not going to say the young man I talked to, but a very reliable young man at our school. He said, Dr. Peck, we're bored, we're at home, we got some time, we want to get out and exercise. I walked that young man to Coach Hogan's office. Coach Hogan, that young man and I had a conversation. At that time, if Coach Hogan mute him so he can chime in, we decided what they were doing was absolutely fine, and so be it. But I don't police it, and I'm actually going to find Coach Hogan to unmute him because I know he has an opinion as well.
Is it a slap in the face to those teams that have been told no practices and they're complying, but then we're letting kids go out and have practices without the coaches on their own?
This is not a team. These are groups of kids playing.
Okay.
I don't see Dave Hogan.
It doesn't seem like a practice. It just seems like kids getting together on their own.
Is Dave Hogan getting on, or?
I don't see him on. I see a Dave. Dave, is that you?
No, wrong Dave, not Dave Hogan.
Sorry, I'm going to meet you back.
Cheryl, is there any liability with these kids gathering?
I mean, there's always potential liability, but it's not sanctioned. The question is do you just want to close the campus down? And and even if you close the campus down, quite honestly, the kids still could come, and then you'd be trying to police them.
Right. I don't want to close the campus down.
No, definitely not.
I don't want an organized large group of kids practicing there on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can't have both.
But I understand the difficulty in trying to police that too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And maybe that's the message we put out is, try to keep yourselves in smaller groups if you're going to meet. I mean, we also have to remember they have parents. If the parents are uncomfortable, the parents, if at all possible, should be trying to encourage their kids not to meet in large groups.
Yeah, we should push it more on the parents, is what I'm saying. And like I said, we just need to encourage the kids to practice the social distances. If the groups are too big, split it up. Come back at a later time, half of you, and then it's really we just got to put it more on the parents and kids.
And again, we're like the lacrosse is what we were talking about.
Right.
My daughter was commenting because she was actually, I guess they were Snapchatting it, and she knew about it and told me all about it. And she's like, and again, nursing student who has a very different idea of germs. She's like, look, these kids aren't licking the field, after people coughed on it. They're running around. They're, there's a distance in the game. They're not breathing each other's air. And again, we can't take this away from the kids. It's wrong.
Okay, anything else? It was, I brought a parent concern, and Just wanted to make sure we had an opportunity to address it. Now, I do see some in the group chat. People are trying to get in and we're capped at 100. Is there any way to remove that cap?
Only if we buy the premium edition.
Okay.
Well, and then everyone would have to have it, right?
No, I think just the host would have to have it.
Well, this is going to be recorded though, correct? So that it would be posted on the website later?
Well, that's why I just typed in. I said the cap is 100. We're recording it, and it will be posted on the web.
All right. If we continue doing it, I guess we need to look into that addition.
Okay, anything else on group practices?
Okay, yeah, I have one more question. Since Cheryl is in here, let's utilize her expertise.
Okay.
Should we have some sort of motion to keep this open? So in case this comes up again, I don't want somebody changing their mind or something and having this keep coming up, especially with, uncertainty, and people were freaking out over, the idea of it being closed.
About the campus being closed?
Yeah, should we have a motion that we are going to keep it open to the public?
I mean, I don't think that's necessary. I think anything the board wants to bring up, they can.
Okay.
I mean, I think even saying that, we're in a fluid situation here. So many things are changing. I mean, just today, the governor is going from 50 to 25% people. I mean, daily, if not by hours, things are changing. So I would not encourage the board to think
Okay.
that they're done with this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else? Oh, nope. Okay, I don't see Mary and I don't see Lynn, so I don't know.
Here.
Okay, you guys don't have anything else?
Nope.
Okay, all right, the other item on my report is health insurance and town hall meetings. My goal was to just update where we are, just to keep things moving forward, and then to discuss where we're going. So the Health Insurance Committee met this past Tuesday, and we drafted a letter that went out to retirees. And on the back of that letter, it described the proposed change. And then on the back of the letter, we put dates for town hall meeting style sessions. There would be a total of 9. It would be over 3 days, 3 sessions each day. And we asked people to call an RSVP so that we could control our crowd and keep it small so that we aren't violating the recommendations. I guess that leaves me with, I just wanted to have some discussion on this, being where we are with the COVID-19 and what does this mean for our town hall meetings? Just so we're having discussion. What does this mean for them?
I thought there were virtual town hall meetings using Zoom.
Right now, Spirits are set up for live, but we actually have 2 options. One, we can use Zoom, limit it to 100 unless the school wants to buy the license. I'm not sure how much the license is. I can look into it. Or the other thing we can do is do it over the telephone. I just had a call the other day from my local councilman, and he was doing a phone call to all the people, the presentation, and the people could speak back through the phone call. So if we don't want to get in a room with one another, and I understand that in the COVID-19, people may not want to, and the retirees are obviously older, they're at higher risk, so they may not want to as well. If we could either do a Zoom or we could do phone calls. And those are very viable.
If we're going to do Zoom, I would recommend, this is Cheryl, that we definitely look at the license. I'm watching the participant, and we dropped down, and now we're back to 100. So I would, in open meetings law fashion, suggest we really look at seeing how much that license is.
I would say for the retirees that a phone call would probably be better. I don't think that many of them are going to be tech savvy enough to get on.
That's probably.
We're going to have multiple meetings. We should probably do both. That way we hit everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we can make it an option. I don't know if you can do both with Zoom or not, but.
I think you can do both. I can talk to Ed Von, ENV, but I don't see any reason you can't do both.
What do you plan to accomplish with the telephone calls? What would that discussion look like?
It'd be like a conference call, Mary.
Well, I know what a conference call is, but what would it entail? What would the retirees learn from that conversation?
It would be exactly the same thing as a live conversation. No different the retirees have all been mailed the packet in the form. So they would have that to reference. Then Ed Vaughn would be speaking, much like if you called me on the phone and you and I had a phone conversation, except it'd be you and I and 50 other people.
Okay.
If you guys give me like 30 seconds, I think I can buy the update.
Will it kill the meeting and we'd have to restart?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You want me to
Hopefully
try?
not.
If everyone drops.
Get back in quick.
I think it's just worth taking 3 minutes to see if I can do this, and we can get the other people on. You keep the meeting going while I'm doing this, though. Don't stop the meeting.
I'd like to address the health insurance because I just think it's very unfortunate that at this time with the COVID-19, the election with questions about healthcare and how that will change, the schools closed, quarantined at home, social distancing, businesses closed, the 6 feet distance part, all of those things have put has been a detriment to the process that I feel we should be going through to solve this solution. On one hand, we have all these employees and we have an excellent staff that we're looking and weighing that with paying the bill with the retirees insurance without losing these teachers or dropping the insurance on these people that are on limited incomes. They're the most vulnerable in our society, let alone in our Chenango community. They have the most healthcare needs. And their pre-92 contract, they traded getting a raise. People probably don't know the background on all that.
But nobody's dropping insurance. I got to interrupt because you said dropping.
You let me finish, please?
No, but no, there's no dropping.
No, please let me finish. I was talking.
We're in a group setting, so let's, Mary, go ahead, and then Spiro, as soon as she's done, chime in.
Thank you. When the decision was made, it was a decision of taking Blue Cross Blue Shield Excellus and giving up having a raise that year. Our job is to make sure these retirees get the same or better insurance, just like the rest of us would do if they're hunting for insurance. Given the circumstances of the times right now, it seems like we're trying to push something in a small space and not be able to make sure that we uncover every detail, positive and negative, before making the decision. So that's my concern.
Spiro, go ahead.
No, I have an issue with just saying dropping because a lot of people are listening and there's no droppage of coverage. I mean, you can make the argument that the coverage is actually better. It is better. But again, there's lots of things to go with, and I absolutely agree with Mary on the fact that it's a very short timetable. However, with all the things going on, nobody has pushed back our budget deadlines on when we have to adopt a budget, when it goes to the voters and everything else. And we have to adopt a budget, and we have to address our almost $1.1 million deficit. So that's the way it is. So we have to address it. We can't put our head in the sand. We have to look at the options, and this is the option we have.
Would anyone else like to address this?
Joe, you had mentioned at one time you had some other options. Are those still viable?
What's the other options, Lynn?
And when you first presented us with this healthcare to cover the deficit, you said there were some a couple other options you had.
Right now, Mark and I have gone through everything. And right now, it definitely stands at what he presented at one point. I don't have anything that I can pull out. Mark doesn't have anything that he can pull out. Anything that we pull out this time is going to be supplies from teachers, equipment from teachers, equipment from the district, anything like that, programs. It's all going to be academically impacted. We can pull out anything you want, Lynn. I mean, it's all what you want to pull out. We can stop buying. That's a bad example because we get 8 on that. But if it's not, when you start looking at a $1.1 million budget, the biggest percentage of your budget is salary and benefits. So that's where you usually go to first. You would have to create a 15-page spreadsheet of huge cuts to get to 1.1 outside of that.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Wait, Mike, can I just, or Mark, can more people get on? I just bought the $250 package.
You want to just send a quick group chat, Joe? Because that's where they were commenting. They wanted to bring more people in.
Let me see if we can get more people on.
Okay.
Definitely okay, though.
Okay. Okay for Mark to go ahead, Joe?
Yeah, sorry about that, Mark. I just want to let people know that we upgraded.
I think we also got to take into account that, you know, the economy is tanking right now. And with that being said, state aid, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that there's going to be an increase next year. And in future years, last time this happened, 2008, we saw what happened when state aid was cut. GEA was back on the table. And GEA is still on the table because the law has not, there was not a sunset on that law. So, and then you're going to look at the TRS, the Teachers Retirement System, and that the rate that the districts have to pay the state for that is based on the rate of return that the fund gets every year. And with the, again, with the stock market doing what it's doing, the rate of return on that fund is going to drop. So you're going to see a TRS rates increase in future years. So I don't think that to just look at this as a one-time deal. You're going to have future years affected by what's going on now.
Can you refresh us on what the GEA is?
Yeah. Go ahead.
The
Gap elimination adjustment.
elimination adjustment. Yep. It's where they cut the aid so the state could recover its funds. And that was on, basically they took your foundation aid and every school district had a percentage cut from that foundation aid. And then it took, I don't know, well, 4 or 5 years before it was fully restored.
And you're saying they don't have to vote on that again? That's still in effect?
Right, as far as I know, that is still on the table there. It's still there. They never rescinded that. I could be wrong, but I haven't heard anything on that.
No, I think you are right, Mark, because I actually just read something about that, and that's going to be on the table. And last time, I mean, basically they gave us an IOU for this is how much state aid you got, but we're not paying it all to you, and maybe we'll pay it to you in the future, maybe.
What Mark is trying to say, what I tried to say too, and I probably didn't do a good job, is that 1.1, even if we can find stuff in the district to trim, I think it's going to be closer to 1.3 when it's all said and done. Agree or feel free to agree with me, Mark, or disagree.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, we had a $200,000 increase in state aid based on the governor's proposal, but that was before all this. So, you know, that could go away.
So can we talk about the order? I'm sorry, go ahead.
We have to be prepared for that.
Joe, I'm mainly directing this question to you. Can we talk about the order of operations and what's next? We've sent the letter to retirees. Can you just give us some details in the order of operation and how this is going to go? Each step.
I can, if you clarify that just a little bit, Amy. What do you mean, how it's gonna go?
What I mean is the process of it, the process of getting down to brass tacks and finding, you know what I mean, answering people's questions, really knowing what we're getting into, the process of that, and then right to the decision-making point where we decide
Yep. What
to
would
go down
happen
that
is,
road or not.
what would happen is, ENV would do the 9. Right now, we have 9 town hall meetings on the calendar.
Mhm.
People will be able to go to those town hall meetings. The board, I know, is going to attend some town hall meetings. I'll attend some town hall meetings. And when everything's said and done, it's all going to come back to the board. You're going to get feedback from the retirees that attended the meetings. Obviously, you're going to hold a meeting like this either in person or through Zoom. You're going to listen to them. You're going to listen to your 5 board members, your superintendent. At the end of the day, we got to negotiate through the CFTA, and then it comes to the board. You guys decide, and it goes out to vote.
And what is the timetable for this?
It's all how fast you want to move. I mean, right now, it's on schedule that we could get it into the budget for next year. If we start to delay things and we can get in the budget for next year, then that's why you're going back to the 1.1 million right now, and we have to discuss tonight in executive session staff cuts, because if this slows up, Mark and I still have to balance the budget. And if we have $1.1 million and the health insurance is not going to happen, then we're going to lose teaching staff. We need to let that staff know immediately so they can start looking for employment elsewhere. It's not fair to tell a teacher in May, look, okay, sorry, you're not coming back.
Absolutely. So we're
Jobs
talking
are going to be there. We have to let those people know now in February, March, I'm sorry, February's gone, March, April, at the latest that, okay, your position's on the chopping block. We can't keep you in the budget for next year. Try to find something. So that's, Mary, I understand it completely what you're saying, 100%. But there's 2 sides to the sword. I mean, it's that's why you have 5 board members to make these decisions.
Well, you said, Joe, you said it goes out to vote. Like, you mean the board votes on it or the people vote on it?
The board, I'm sorry, Lynn, the board would make a decision. It doesn't go out for a general vote to the public.
That's what I thought. Thanks.
I guess I've always been one to, as you know, process is really important to me. So again, back to the health insurance. We mentioned it at one meeting. It was mentioned at a second meeting. It was on the list of the agenda for the last meeting under the superintendent's list. The retirees were not notified. Many of them mentioned that they only found out through word of mouth. So they weren't available there to hear it at the same time that everybody else did. I'd like in the future if we could have it as an item on the agenda rather than in some place that most people don't look. Then perhaps it would be easier to get everybody there at the same time to share questions that they might know they had, that someone else has and is answered and important information for them. I think we did really well at forming the committee and setting up what the people in the committee set up, but I just feel like the process we followed was out of order.
I respectfully disagree. It was under superintendent's report. Ed Vaughn, Mary, let me finish. It said Ed Vaughn, retiree health insurance presentation. It was right. No one tried to hide anything. It was right under my report. And it said exactly that on ENV retiree health presentation.
Oh, I wasn't saying anyone tried to hide anything. I just was saying it was not apparent to a lot of the retirees, so they didn't take notice of anything.
So Mary, what you're saying is what you would like to see different is have it as an action line item rather than underneath the discussion item under the superintendent's report?
And having the letters as we have done now, having those sent out so retirees are notified that that's available to them to come to and get.
I mean, it wouldn't be an action line item because there's no action to take. It would have been a presentation outlined outside.
Or a presentation, I'm sorry, yes.
The presentation, it was the letters, some kind of contact to all the retirees. I don't know whose responsibility that was, but that's a step I think should have been taken.
Okay. Now, the letter we just drafted Tuesday, has that been mailed out?
Yes, ma'am. It was mailed out on Wednesday morning. Aaron McMullen had a team of people mail it out, and I also sent the letter and a copy of the presentation that Ed Vaughn presented at the board meeting to all the
Okay.
active employees in the school district.
Okay.
But not only the letter was sent out, also the presentation, not the entire presentation, but the sheet with the three plans on it were sent out as well.
Yep. Okay, is there any more discussion for this subject? Okay. All right, correspondence for action, 4.1, Chenango Fork support staff and maintenance MOU. Upon recommendation of the superintendent, I make a motion to approve the Chenango Fork support staff and maintenance MOU and authorize the board president to sign.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's do roll call, please.
Okay. Amy O'Brien,
Aye.
Eros Tomatos,
Yes.
Mary Collins,
Aye.
Mike Vavra,
Aye.
Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed.
Amy, before we go on,
Yes.
I got a message from, it looks like Linda Roby. She says if I have a hand up when no one called on me, I'm going to find her and unmute her right now.
Okay,
It's just, there's 100 people to look through. It's going to take me 1 minute to find her.
Hello?
Linda, is that you?
I think I'm unmuted, yes?
We hear you.
Yep,
Yeah.
you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, Linda Roby, 130 Port Road. Retiree, Chenango Forks. I cannot understand how, in light of the pandemic, at such a critical time, we are in discussing changing the health insurance for the retirees. It is upsetting. It is mind-boggling to me. It is, it doesn't seem right at this point in time with the pandemic to be discussing a change in the retirees' health insurance. It affects me personally. I worked for the district for 30 plus years. I was laid off in 2011, so I fully, completely understand the budget and cuts. And to choose the retirees with health insurance with the pandemic, it doesn't even sound right as I say it. It just seems so unreal to me. So respectfully, I ask that you leave the health insurance for the retirees as is at this point, because there's so much up in the air about what's going on, and it's changing every hour. And it is just not the time to change health insurance. I understand there's other problems in budget and money, but it's just not a good time to change health insurance for retirees. Was I heard?
yes, you
Yes.
were. Does anyone from the board or Dr. Peck wish to comment or respond? Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are we doing open? I'm just curious. Are we keep going with the agenda? Or are we letting people talk now? I mean, I'm good with whatever. I'm just.
I don't have
thank
anyone
you.
else right
Okay.
now. I'm looking.
I don't see anyone else right now
I don't see
either.
anyone else in
Okay,
the,
Okay. At this time, I would like to include the 3 building principals into our executive session. Does the board agree?
Yes.
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 Okay. All right. 5.1, proposed executive session. A motion for consideration of executive session to discuss collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law. Pardon?
Can I interrupt 1 second? Because
Certainly.
my wife just texted me. She's upstairs and she said her hand has been up. She wanted to say something. And
Yeah, I'm not seeing hands come up. I'm sorry about that.
I don't see anything. Me either.
Yeah.
oh, I don't know if we're missing people then.
Okay, Nicole, where are you? Hold on.
And is
see
anybody else
one.
missing?
I see one blue hand.
And that
Okay.
might be me. I spoke.
Nicole, you're unmuted. Let me see if I can see any other hands.
Thank you.
I'm unmuted. Can I talk?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Thanks. At the bottom, I think it might be just different from iPad to computer. But anyway, okay, this is what I wanted to say. I absolutely understand the economic and the health concerns that face everyone right now. But the reality is it's 2020, it's not 1992. And I was at the meeting last week when the gentleman from the insurance company, ENV, explained that the retiree insurance is just as good or better than what they have now. If retirees don't believe that, then by all means, bring their concerns to the town hall meetings that have been scheduled. But I must emphasize that we are looking at losing 13 to 17 positions. Layoffs are stressful to everyone in our entire school community, and I know what I'm talking about because I was laid off twice at Chenango Forks, once in 2008 and once in 2010. And both of those times, it was really difficult for everybody, but especially in 2010 when the layoff actually took and there were 40 of us laid off. And you know what happened then? Programs were cut and the education of our children suffered. And my 3 children were students there then. We have to be aware of what the significance is of losing 13 to 17 people that are with our students every day. Our students need teachers. Our students need aides. And so we need to be very, very aware when we are voting, if it's an either or proposition. Are we voting? We need to be aware of what we're looking at. So thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Does anyone from the board wish to comment?
Well, Nicole, I understand your passion because I was in the same place you were at one time, but I guess I'm still weighing losing teachers is no better or worse than losing 10 retirees because they couldn't have the insurance they want. And there's actual situations of people that have spoken to me that all of you know well. And one of them said if he hadn't been able to use his insurance for what he had just done, he would have either been dead or indigent.
But ENV told us it's the same or better. I was there last week. He said it's the same or better.
I know, I understand, Nicole, but I'd rather have retirees have a chance to evaluate that themselves.
So please, retirees, go to the town hall meetings. Please, 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 before we lay off teachers, know what you're talking about and make sure that you are very aware of the decision that's being made. Go to the town hall meetings or attend them virtually. It's what they're for. The information is there.
Does anyone else wish to respond? Okay, thank you, Nicole.
No one with a hand up that I can see. Looks like no one in
It
the.
looks like Linda Roby has her hand up.
Oh, okay, I do see it. She's unmuted right now.
I do. I have my hand up. It's Linda Roby. Well, first of all, I can't understand how anything costs so much less could be just as good. If it's too good to be true, it's probably not true. I mean, it's just the way of the world. How could it be just as good? But okay, let's just say we need to be informed. I cannot go out to a meeting because I'm in a high-risk group. My husband's in a high-risk group. It is just not what we are being told to do. So that's very nice to hold meetings, but you're holding meetings for the group, the retirees that are the most susceptible group regarding the deadly coronavirus, and we're all being told to isolate. So, you know, 2 things. I can't believe that any insurance will be just as good. And our insurance right now, I'm so thankful for. And it's been very important for us. So yes, it's nice to hold meetings, but I personally can't go to a meeting. And I'm sure a lot of retirees are in that position as well. In addition, is it really responsible to have people gather in light of the pandemic? Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like Comfort Mallory. Oh, I'm sorry, Sparrow.
Can I
Did you
jump in?
wanna-
Yeah, I just want
Yes.
to jump in because I think, and Linda, I know you. I mean, I don't mean to upset you, but please listen to me on this. If you hear the presentation for ENV and you can get into the meeting just like you're doing, you know, the town hall meeting like we're doing now, and we're going to have another option with the telephone, I guess. But he actually explains it much better than I can, but I'll give you, you know, my not insurance speak. This is why it's so much cheaper. Medicare pays for 80% of the bills once you hit 65. And again, this was all from the presentation last week. Your insurance at 65 is the exact same insurance that the pre-65-year-old people have. So your insurance is actually only paying 20% when Medicare is paying 80. So that's what the change is in the insurance. It's actually an insurance plan that is paying the difference rather than the exact same plan that you have pre-65. Now, again, that is not, I'm not an insurance agent. This is what I got from the presentation. He explains it a heck of a lot better and much more comprehensively than I have, but that's the gist of it. And you'll understand when you hear the presentation why and how it's so much cheaper.
One comment. There will also be an opportunity for individuals to provide their specific healthcare concerns to ENV. Individuals may bring healthcare bills, which include the codes, the ICD, CPT, HCPCS codes for analysis, so that people can establish peace of mind with their individual needs. That
Someone just asked
opportunity.
in the questions, can someone on the BOE speak about the self possibility? I can do that. I'm not sure if all 5 board members completely understand it. What we're saying, I think the question is the safety net. What the district would be willing to do is when we change the program, if we change it, and something is not covered, we're going to say it's equal to or better. If that is not true, if it's not equal to or better, we're going to do what they call self-assured, which means it will be covered by the school district. So if a retiree goes out, has something done, the new plan, if we switch, does not cover it, then we will have a pool of money back in the district that will cover it. Under
That's
board approved.
That's as long as it would have been covered under the Blue Cross.
Right.
Right.
That's
But-
the caveat, as long as.
Well, it's not really a caveat because you're going to have to put it out so many years. You can't say in 5 years what Blue Cross is going to cover. You're going to have a sunset on it. It's what you're going to have. So, and again, that would be negotiated with the sunset is.
So what you're trying to say is essentially, if it is covered under your policy now, it will ultimately be covered then.
Either way, one way or another, either under the new
Chenango-
plan or
Yep.
we as the school district are going to guarantee it.
Because the Chenango Forks Reinsurance Fund will make up the difference. If there is a gap, they will fill that gap, is what you're trying to explain.
Am I on?
Yeah, no, we can hear you.
I understand that, and I understand that. However, if you have a condition, or if you get a condition, I couldn't tell you every possible prescription that I might need tomorrow. I understand if I'm already on it, that you'll help out with that. But I have to tell you that I also understand very well that Medicare is primary and that Blue Cross Blue Shield is secondary. However,
Did you hit it?
our secondary has been so good that there have been times when our secondary has covered something that the primary Medicare did not, because that's just what a good policy it is. So, you know, I can't imagine covering every line by line item and making a good comparison, or, you know, a perfect comparison.
And Linda, that's what we're saying. If there's anything that's missed, I'm agreeing with what you're saying. If we miss something, if ENV misses something and it's not covered, we as a school district will cover it.
I get that. I get that. But tomorrow I may be prescribed, or a retiree very well may be prescribed a new drug, and we didn't have it before, and so it's not grandfathered in. I feel like we're leaving excellent insurance, and once you do that, you're not going to get it back. And these young teachers will be retirees, hopefully, one day.
Okay, I'm muting everyone once they're done speaking, just for background noise. I had to mute a couple people just now that I had unmuted. Patty Moss and Caroline Thomas both have their hands up, and I'm going to go to Patty Moss just because.
And Comfort does as well.
Top of my screen.
Where is your hand on here? Because it's not on here.
Patty, you're on. You're unmuted.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so it's Patty Moss. I live at 36 Jason Drive. I'm an alumni and a current teacher at CFE. I have kind of a couple different questions if I'm allowed to do that. My first question is, who votes for this change? Is it just the board that votes? Is it the retirees, or is it the current CFTA?
Joe, are you answering this?
I'm answering. Can you repeat that, Patty? I'm sorry.
Yes, that's okay. Oh, go ahead, Amy.
I was just gonna say, she's basically asking who's making the decision, but it's more than just the board voting, because it's going to negotiations with the CFTA. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then once it's gone through that, then the board ultimately votes and makes that final decision.
Correct.
Okay, does that answer your question, Patty?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Can I ask a couple more? Am I allowed to do that?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. So one of the other things, I guess this isn't really a question, it's just a statement. I think one of the reasons that we're kind of dubious in, we saw the the presentation told us, how much better this insurance is, or is equally as good as well. We have certainly been told in the past that, certain insurance was going to do such and such, and, we've been told untruths. So we're a little bit skittish to take such a jump by just listening to one person saying that things are going to be better or just as good. So we're just a little, of course, it's just a little bit scary for us. And I understand the reinsurance fund, which is, I think, a great idea, but doesn't that also put Chenango Forks, at risk for something that could be major that isn't covered? And then all of a sudden we owe all this money to the person that we're going to repay if it's not covered.
Well, I speaking for myself here, but I assume there is that potential, correct? Joe, really? I mean, you're the one I should be asking. Is there that potential if we're agreeing to fill a gap?
There's always potential, Patty, but again, the best thing you can do, the best thing everybody can do is listen to Ed Bond explain it. Ed does this for a living. That's why we're trying to get information out. I'm not really comfortable discussing the plan right now because you're not getting it from experts. I'm not an expert. The board's not an expert. So again, we're and like Spiros just relayed what he knows. But again, that's why we want the town hall meetings, is to get it out from someone who's an expert on the subject.
Right, and I understand that, but if you remember a few years ago, we changed our dental insurance. We had a presentation from, I don't remember offhand who it was from, but, we went 3 years and really, we were told untruths and we had to deal with that, and there was no going back on it. And so this is great that we can listen to this one man at this town hall meetings and get information, but I don't know this gentleman from anyone. Just, he's trying to sell something to us. So, that just concerns me. I just want us to be, just be cautious about that. Of course, I don't want us to lose teachers. I totally agree with Ms. D'Amatos. We can't lose teachers. We don't want to lose teachers, but we also have to be concerned that it's not our educators' job to fund education. So I know you guys are in an unbelievable position here. I appreciate what you're doing. I worry that we're doing this really fast.
And I guess that's all I need to say. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you.
Does anyone want
Have
to
a
address
comment.
Patty? Okay, go ahead, Lynn.
Ed Vaughn did bring up there's other school districts that have been on this plan for a while. So if anyone knows anyone in these other districts, Chenango Valley, Deposit,
Owego.
I thought Johnson City, but I don't see them on here.
It's a
Susquehanna
different
Valley.
company. Johnson City Land is a different company than ENV.
What's that?
Johnson City and Binghamton have a different company,
Okay.
but they switched over.
I know SV, we did this, I think two or 3 years ago, we switched over. I haven't talked to other retirees, you know, if there's any difference with what happened and stuff here. I haven't heard anything, but I can easily call some retirees and see what their thoughts are on this too. But again, I know it was at least 3 years ago, we probably switched over to this. I haven't heard any complaints or anything from retirees about it. But again, I haven't fully talked to anybody yet, so I can't say there's nothing that's different.
And I don't understand how the insurance business works, but is there any option of negotiating with our current insurance company to lower our rates and have the same coverage? By
We're
saying
part of a consortium. It just doesn't work that way because it's the whole healthcare consortium thing.
Okay.
With all the school districts.
Can we invite those who are currently on the plan to come into our town hall meeting so that people can ask them questions of their experience?
We could.
You mean from other districts, Amy?
Yeah. Would that make sense? I mean, just so people can hear real experience, real life experience with it.
If they're available, I think that's why we need to. I mean, I know Linda was worried about meeting and stuff there, but I like the option of doing the Zoom thing for retirees or even a conference call. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be the face-to-face meeting, but.
Because I personally don't.
The whole goal of the town halls was to try to get as much information as we can out to retirees so we can hear their feedback.
Right.
It stinks that it's such a time crunch, but unfortunately, it's a huge decision for us.
I think a lot of the concern is, okay, well, I shouldn't say a lot of the concern, but it's great that all these other districts have jumped on, and this is not a great analogy, but it's like, seeing that as seen on TV item and all of a sudden everyone buys it because it looks great, but really you want to know how it's working after the fact. So it's great that the other districts are, have jumped on board, but it's after the fact and after the use and the experience that personally I would like to hear from.
Hey, Carolyn Thomas, you're next, and then we're gonna go to Nicole DeMatos again.
Really?
No, it's
Okay, hi.
Carolyn and then Pat.
Hand waving.
Okay, this is Caroline Thomas. I'm at 3 Howard Drive.
Okay.
Hi. My questions are kind of just separate from the healthcare for right now. And maybe this is because I don't have board minutes in front of me or agendas in front of me. Could you explain what the memo of understanding is that you voted on just now? And then my other question is, can you also explain or give some history or background as to why we have the $1.1 million deficit? And those are my questions. Thank you.
Amy, you're muted for some reason.
It's because my son is pounding drums downstairs.
Amy, you want to explain what the MOA is we just voted on?
Go right ahead.
The MOA we just voted on is basically MOA between us and the custodians, laborers, cleaners, cafeteria maintenance, the aides as well, to pay them over we use the word break, the time off. I don't know what we want to call it, the hiatus we're on from the school district to keep their.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. That's excellent.
Yep,
okay.
Well, to thank the school board. They voted on it, and I did the MOA with Nancy Holzmaster. So
okay.
MOA is. And Caroline, what's your second question?
My second question is, what is the history or the reasoning behind why we have the 1.1 or $1.3 million deficit coming up?
The three of the biggest things in our budget are the healthcare, the TRS, and the salary increases. Those were bigger than our aid that came in, and that makes up almost the whole 1.1 along with both these services. Mark, if you want to elaborate on that, go ahead, but I think I got it all.
Yeah, it just comes down to, health and welfare and salaries increase every year between 4 and 8%. And our tax cap is, set at 2%, and state aid has been up at 2%. So our revenue for the past few years only is increasing 2%, but our expenses, our big expenses, are increasing 4 to 8%. So as you can see, the revenue's not keeping up with the expense. So
was that not the projection out from the state aid? Because I know Forks laid off a lot of people, but then they hired back all these people. And I remember when you hired back a lot of people, I was surprised actually, because I thought, well, okay, maybe their state aid is increasing. So was that the projection for what the salary steps were for the teachers? Did you project that the state was going to be putting in more? Like, was this a mistake that this projection wasn't made out so far, or was this that the state didn't keep up with what you thought they were going to be able to do for us?
You want that, Mark? You want me to take it?
I'll take it. The state, when they, in the past years, they were paying back the GEA. So they eliminated that gap.
The gap elimination, right.
Right. So there was a lot more increase in state aid. And now the last few years, the increase has not been there. And Como has liked to keep, now he wants to keep his state aid increases at 2% or below.
Right. And so are they taking the gap elimination adjustment thing, whatever that horrible thing is, so they're doing that again? Are they going to do that again? Is that what my understanding is, or you're not sure?
Well, we're not sure, but last time they did it is when the economy went south.
Right. And they're certainly going to need money right now. Yeah.
Right. So I just put it out there that, that's a possibility.
So are you being conservative then, thinking that because of the economy right now is in dire straits, that's where the gap is going to be, or was the gap going to happen before this?
The gap was going to happen anyways.
Okay. All right. Those are my questions.
Nicole, you're unmuted.
Oh, thank you. I hereby volunteer my dad. He's a retired WeGo teacher, and WeGo has the ENV insurance. So I am volunteering him. He obviously can't go to a physical meeting, but he can communicate via phone. He can't text in because he still doesn't text, but he can talk to anybody who wants to when we have a meeting, because he's a WeGo teacher and they have that insurance. So he knows a lot about it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat Lawton?
I'm still getting messages that I can only get 100 people in, even so I bought the package. I'm thinking because the meeting was going on while I bought the package, it probably needs to reset. We can't take 100 people out though.
No.
Pat?
We're only at 95 right now anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, you're unmuted, Pat. Go ahead.
This is this is a hard situation right now, especially in this unprecedented time. I think, Mary Collins, you did an awesome job with what you said about the retirees. I hate to see us pit one group against the other to solve a problem. Patty Moss, you hit upon a really important thing with the dental insurance. I went to the meeting the other night. I didn't agree with everything he said. I had some questions. He's a salesman, and I think it is true. We don't know everything. And I've also gone through my career at Chenango Forks with a husband who teaches music and wondering if he had a job every year. I am sensitive to that. It's just now, how do people get to these meetings? Yes, we're doing it by Zoom. I have a friend, a colleague who's supposed to be on this committee that wrote the letter the other day. She couldn't even attend the meeting because of her compromised position. No one expected this to happen. It is such a sad time right now, and we are trying to push this through. And I'm just asking you to slow down and really think about it. And really, again, if it's so good, I don't even know now who said it, if it was Linda Roby or Patty. If it's such a good insurance policy, how can it be that it's cheaper? And I will go out and say John Edwards, because it's a public meeting the other night, had an excellent question about down the road with Medicare. And I don't understand all of that. The board heard that question. What happens if something happens with Medicare and then that increases our retirees' benefits, or, you know, the part that they have to pay? Thank you for listening. Just everybody stay well, because this is it's just a very challenging time for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat, and I'm sorry it took so long to get to you.
That's okay.
Comfort Mallory, I'm going to unmute you.
Okay, I think the hard part about all this budget system in and of itself is, and I remember somebody else had it put to me this way, the school is a business, and the business is educating our youth, and us taxpayers are the shareholders, so to speak, of the business, and you guys have to be accountable to us with this budget. And it makes it, I understand both sides of the argument, but how do we really balance this out? Because we need our teachers to educate us. We have one of the most prominent schools in the district. I mean, there have been so many people that have been posting on social media that, oh my God, it's been a week and my kids still haven't heard anything about how they're getting their education. And here we were on Monday, all right, here's your stuff, we're rolled out, ready to go. So we're kind of the leaders in this district. So how do we balance keeping our educators, that's the job of, you know, that's the product of this business, and still keeping, you know, the health insurance of the retirees? It's not an easy thing, but we do, and still in the long run, they were educators, so they know what the job is and entails. So how do we find that fine line between keeping our staff at the top level that we're at and maintaining proper insurance for all the teachers, past, present, and future? Because at some point, this is going to be affecting new hires when all teachers who have been there 20 years retire and we get new ones in. So how do we find that fine line of maintaining this business, so to speak, and still being accountable to the shareholders, like the taxpayers, with the budget?
Would anyone like to speak? To Comfort?
Comfort, I'm going to mute you again, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Comfort. All right, I have Eric Daniels up. Do you see his phone on mute?
Eric, hold on a minute. Eric, you're not in my front screen. Let me find you. I got you.
Can you hear me?
Unmuted.
You can hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, we're in the 21st century now. Times change, so do insurance plans. I understand the retirees are concerned with losing benefits or not having as good of benefits, but I'm a union plumber, and I can tell you that firsthand. I pay for my retirees health care insurance after they retire out of my paycheck. Part of their insurance plan is paid for from my check, but that plan changes. As time changes, plans change, and these people need to understand that too. I mean, if we lose teachers, who's going to be there next? You know what I mean? You got to maintain teachers. I don't know how your guys' packages work and all that, but I know for myself, the apprentices, the younger guys that are below me, they pay into my benefit. So once I retire, I hope that there's more of them to continue my benefits. So I just got to say that as times change, so do insurance packages, and people just have to realize that. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Any more comments?
I don't see any hands up, Mrs. O'Brien, nor do I see anyone in the queue from the Zoom.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. All right, 5.1. I'm going to make a motion for consideration of executive session to discuss collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law and the medical, financial.
You want to see me on there?
What?
Do you want to see me on there?
Yeah.
not unmuted.
Oh, hold on. I gotta mute Mr. Daniels. Hold on. Oh, close one there. I got him muted.
For employment history of a particular person or corporation or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline,
I could.
dismissal or removal of a
And my
particular
camera.
person or corporation. Discussions involved in proposed pending or current litigation.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so what happens now, everyone will leave this meeting.
Mhm.
Go click on the executive session link. It will only be the 5 board members and me. Then if Mrs. O'Brien wants to invite the principals, I'll send them the link to get in,
Okay,
okay?
before we close this meeting, I just want to publicly thank our admin team for the preparedness and readiness for our district. It was a very impressive.
We're all
So
muted.
thank you.
They're all muted, Amy, but I can speak on their behalf and say thank you.
Okay.
All right.
The meeting is ending right now.
Okay.